I'm Mark Matsumoto and welcome to my Tokyo kitchen. Today I want to show you an easy beef and green onion roll-up called Negimaki. Maki means rolled in Japanese, and this easy dish is made by rolling scallions in a layer of thinly sliced beef before it's pan-fried and glazed in a sweet and savory teriyaki sauce. The thin layer of beef concentrates the flavor of the sauce, while the green onions become sweet and flavorful. It's an easy dish that's also perfect for packing into a bento box, so let's start with a look at our ingredients. We can't have negimaki without the negi, so I've got 100 grams of thin green onions, and we're gonna roll these in 200 grams of thinly sliced beef for sukiyaki. These sheets are about 6 by 3.5 inches wide. You're also gonna need 2 teaspoons of potato starch, 2 teaspoons of vegetable oil, and some toasted sesame seeds for garnish. For the teriyaki sauce, I'm using 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of sake, and 1.5 tablespoons of sugar. The first thing I'm gonna do is line up the root ends of my scallions and trim the roots off. Then I'm gonna use a sheet of my beef to measure how long I need to cut the onions. Now I'm just gonna cut these green onions up so they're all about the same length. The greens and stems have different flavors and textures, and we're going to be using both in our rolls. By the way, these scallions are only about 1/5 of an inch in diameter, so they'll cook through fine. But if you're using a thicker onion, I recommend splitting the stem down the middle once so they'll cook through in your roll. To roll up our beef and green onions, I'm gonna lay a sheet of meat down on a clean surface and spread it out. Then I'm gonna add a mixture of scallion stems and greens along the bottom edge of the beef. Now I'm gonna wrap the bottom edge of beef up and over the green onions and tuck the edge under them using a little pressure to compress them before rolling them up. The scallions will shrink as they cook, so it's important to make sure the roll is as tight as you can get it without tearing the meat. Now repeat the process with the remaining beef and green onions. I'm using Wagyu with some nice marbling today, but this will work with almost any cut of beef as long as it's cut thinly and against the grain. These slices are about 1/16 of an inch thick. You should be able to find beef like this at Asian supermarkets labeled for sukiyaki, shabu shabu, or hot pot. Okay, that's it for the rolls, so I'm gonna line these up with the seam side facing up. Then I'm gonna add the potato starch to a tea strainer and use it to dust the negimaki with starch. This is gonna help keep our rolls sealed shut, but it's also gonna help our teriyaki glaze stick to the outside of our rolls, so be sure to get them coated on all sides with a thin, even layer. Now I'm just gonna roll these around to dust off any excess starch while ensuring I didn't miss any spots. And that's it for our prep. Before we fry these up, I want to tell you a bit about my private recipe stash over at marksrecipes.com. It's where I showcase my original takes on classics like these mouth-watering maple mustard pork chops, this easy miso butter chicken, or this spicy cumin and lamb stir fry. And because it's member supported, there are no ads. I also have some free recipes over there for you to check out, so head over and have a look. All right, let's fry up our negimaki. I'm gonna add some oil to a frying pan preheated over medium heat, and then I'm gonna add the rolls in with the seam side facing down. Let these fry undisturbed for about a minute so the seam has a chance to seal itself shut. By the way, this beef has a ton of fat that's gonna render out, but if you're using a leaner meat, you may need to add a bit more oil to the pan. Then I'm gonna roll each piece a quarter turn and brown the next side. Keep rolling and browning about a minute on each side until the beef is cooked through and the negimaki are evenly browned. These are looking fantastic, so let's use a paper towel to soak up the excess oil in the pan. This minimizes any unnecessary fat, but it's also going to ensure our glaze stays crystal clear and glossy, which is important since the teri in teriyaki means shiny. Okay, time to glaze these beauties. Add the sugar, sake, and soy sauce to the pan. Now I'm gonna roll the negimaki in the teriyaki sauce as it boils. This not only coats the rolls in a thick glaze, it's also gonna ensure the beef and green onions are cooked through. Once the rolls are nicely coated and the teriyaki sauce is thickened up, our negimaki are done. Let's see how these look on the inside. Oh, look how tender and juicy they are. Alright, let's plate the rest of these up. I'm not cutting these up today because I like the way they look whole, but you'll want to either cut these in half or serve them with a steak knife because the scallions can be a bit difficult to cleanly bite through. Let's garnish these with a sprinkle of toasted sesame seeds. And our negimaki are ready to eat. Beefy, oniony, sweet, and savory. This smells incredible, so let's try it out. Itadakimasu. Oh man, it's just so shiny. I'm gonna get a bunch of sauce on here. Going for a piece in the center. Oh man, that's ridiculous. You've got this thin layer of beef on the outside that's well done, but it forms like a meaty crust on the outside. And you bite into it, and those scallions are ridiculously juicy and sweet. And you've got that beautiful savory sweet teriyaki sauce glazing the outside. I mean, this would be fantastic with an ice cold beer, but it's noon right now, so I'm gonna grab a bowl of rice and have the rest of these. These negimaki are super easy to make, and they're mind-blowingly good, so I hope you'll give them a try. Well, I'm off to go plant some seedlings, but check out this playlist for more easy Japanese home cooking. And I'll catch you in the next one.